Attention shoppers. Tonight on the checkout, Jules talks superannuation and the quest for financial enlightenment. Kirsten throws some stones in the chlorophyll glasshouse. And Scott seeks clarity in headphones with a visit to the doctor. Nature is green. Nature is good. Green is good.
Well, that's obviously nonsense. But it's the sort of thing used to convince us to pay up to $46 a litre for chlorophyll supplements. What exactly is this stuff anyway?
Chlorophyll is the green pigment found in plants, responsible for absorbing and transforming energy from the sun.
OK, so it's the green stuff that's very useful for plants. And possibly the Hulk. But for everyone else, that's where it all gets a bit murky. Australia's Next Top Model host, Jennifer Hawkins, reckons the BioGlen stuff will detoxify, alkalise and cleanse your body. But when we asked her to explain what that means, she didn't get back to us. Weird. Perhaps she hadn't had the optimal dose of chlorophyll, which according to Swiss is 18 tablets a day.
2, 3...
18 a day?
More chlorophyll! More!
That's $1,750 a year for something that doesn't appear on any recommended dietary intake guide. Mind you, host of Australia's Funniest Home Videos, Shelley Craft, says it works on her kids.
Plus, the added bonus of the chlorophyll, which if you can't get them to eat veggies, this is an easy way to do it.
Or as Craft put it on Funniest Home Videos,
I give my kids chlorophyll instead of veggies.
But when we asked this lady whether liquid chlorophyll was an adequate dietary substitute for vegetables, she said no.
Vegetables provide a whole range of benefits, including dietary fibre and minerals and vitamins, not to mention the fact they fill you up so you don't eat so much. You won't get that from a bottle of chlorophyll.
Thanks, qualified person.
8, 9...
On the bottle, Swiss says that because
Humans obtain their food supply by eating plants, photosynthesis can be an important source of energy.
that almost sounds like they're suggesting that a chemical process in plants must be relevant to the human body, which according to this guy is
false. That's like saying that because us humans obtain our food supply by driving to the supermarket, then car engines would be a great source of energy.
thanks, actual expert.
12, 13...
Then there's this.
The structure of a chlorophyll molecule is very similar to the structure of hemoglobin, the molecule responsible for transporting oxygen around the body.
Well, it's almost like they're saying that because a chlorophyll molecule looks a bit like a hemoglobin molecule, they do the same thing, which according to this guy is
wrong. That's just like saying because water and vodka look the same, they have exactly the same effect. And it's the same thing for molecules.
Got it. Thanks, science guy. Look, all this isn't to say that we can't keep using chlorophyll for its traditional use
17...
of neutralising fecal odour from colostomy bags.
18. Except that's been debunked too.
Yes.
Chlorophyll. It's important for plants, not people.
Pictures of moss, ants, feathers, bark, this stuff. Owl's eyeballs. We tried everything to sell 3D TVs, but those stupid 3D glasses were just too ridiculous. So now we have a new gimmick. With ultra high definition TV, you get 4 times the definition of normal HD, so you can finally read the tiny disclaimers in our ads.
Which say broadcast television doesn't use Ultra HD, and by the way, neither does DVD or Blu-ray or games.
Pretty much the only thing that is in Ultra HD format is this picture. It's a tree.
Allergan Refresh. Tears Plus eye drops.
Contacts eye drops.
Contains the same Carmelose sodium And exactly the same other stuff.
Allergan Contacts Drops. Drops for contact lens wearers.
Allergan Tears Plus. Compatible with contacts. What? For just $7.30.
$15.80?
Why the price difference? The active ingredient is...
Bogus product differentiation.
Chances are the two biggest financial decisions you'll make in your life are your house and your super.
But we spend all our money on wheelbarrows.
It's just a metaphor. We love talking about property.
And it turned out we were under the reserve.
But somehow, we don't have the same passion for financial products.
I said sure. If you don't factor in the concessional tax rate for super, am I right? Hashtag rollover.
Get out of my fully renovated 3-bedroom house.
I mean, you never see reality TV shows like this.
Ben and Jen are running out of time to find their lost super.
Because of our superannuation laws, the Australian managed funds industry is one of the biggest in the world. Some people do it themselves, but for the rest of us in not-for-profit industry funds or retail funds, we just don't pay much attention. In fact, most of us are in the fund chosen by our employer, which is weird. I mean, you wouldn't let your boss choose your house for you.
Sold.
And there are plenty of people earning fees on our apathy. Super funds don't put all your money in one basket, but a fair chunk of it is entrusted to fund managers. The idea of a managed fund is that you pay a professional investor to pick good investments, which seems sensible enough. If you'd put 10 grand into a managed super fund last financial year, on average, you'd end up with $12,230. If you'd kept that money under your mattress, you would have made nothing. But before you celebrate your fund manager too much, in the same period, the average return of the Australian stock market was even higher. Which means the headline we should pay attention to is this one. And that's not unusual either. From 2003 to 2013, the market average outperformed managed funds by even more. If fund managers were a bit more realistic with you, they'd probably say something more like this.
Well, if you give me that money, I will try and invest it so that you get an above-average return.
So you can actually do that?
No.
So what are your fees?
Over your lifetime, my fees could be more than $100,000.
Okay. Are you better at picking stocks than a cat?
Well, that would depend on the cat.
What about that cat?
Ooh, he looks good.
In 2012, the Observer newspaper ran a stock-picking contest with a cat called Orlando. Over the year, Orlando outperformed 3 fund managers simply by randomly poring over a copy of the Financial Times. Now, you might think,
Maybe it's worth paying more to get a better fund manager.
but with super in Australia, sometimes paying more buys you worse performance. A 2010 study found that for every 1% extra people paid in fees, their returns actually fell by 1.5%. So, can you choose a good funds manager based on their track record of picking winners?
I'll have number 9, thanks.
Nice idea, but no you can't. Performances often vary, and high flyers one year
Number 10.
often do poorly the next. And then there's fees. Fund managers aren't just trying to beat the market average, they're trying to beat the market average plus the extra fees you pay them. And that's very hard. In summary, forget fund managers, you should give all your superannuation money to this cat.
Stop! Stop! That cat is an imposter.
Who's that? Alan Kohler from Business Spectator.
And Eureka Report, Australia's best investment newsletter.
What are you doing here, aside from self-promotion?
Well, you're about to make a terrible mistake. The cat just got lucky.
What do you mean?
Let me enlighten you. When choosing super funds, picking winners is almost impossible. The past cannot foretell the future, and even small fees can eventually overwhelm modest returns.
So instead of trying to beat the market, I should become the market. But is that even possible?
Actually, it is. They're called index funds, and they operate by investing in the average of a stock market rather than relying on fund manager predictions.
So there's less chance of awful results just average ones.
Right.
And it's not really average either because you pay a fee for them as well. So it's the average minus a fee.
But
Sorry, I've got to go now. I have to do a graph for the news.
Index funds also get the tip from legendary investment guru Warren Buffett. The key is fees. Because they back the market average instead of using funds managers, index funds can have significantly lower fees. And for long-term investments, those fees are super important. A 1 or 2% difference in fees might not sound like much, but over decades, it can add up to tens of thousands of your dollars. If you're not in a low-fee fund, you might as well buy your funds manager a boat. Lowering fees was one of the reasons the government gave for introducing My Super accounts, which began on the 1st of January this year. You remember?
3, 2, 1.
It means that if your employer's choosing your super fund, they'll have to go with one that has a My Super product. That's estimated to save Australians $550 million a year, but they don't have to shift your money into the transparent low-fee products until 2017. If you want to save money before then, it's up to you. The first thing to do is go to the ATO website. It's a one-stop shop for getting all your super money into a single fund. On average, each Australian worker has about 3 funds, which means 3 times as many fees. Ask your fund about the fees they charge. Also,
is this a My Super product?
Ask if they've already got a My Super account that you can transfer into now. Sure, it's not the most interesting thing in the world, but you could save thousands and thousands if only Australians cared more about their super.
You should have put her on the list when she was born.
But I didn't know she'd want to come to this nightclub then.
Not my problem, honey. She can go on a waiting list. It'll be $45.
You'll call me if
No, you'll have to keep calling us.
I want a party here tonight.
Don't worry, he'll settle down when we get some mojitos into him. Now, how many nights a week does she want to party?
What?
It has to be 3, 4 or 5 nights a week.
Well, I guess Wednesdays to Fridays.
Is there anything she can't have? Vodka, cruises, ecstasy?
No, she's fine.
Okay, it's $102 per night, even if she can't come, paid by the month in advance. Sign all of these.
Sorry, honey. You're gonna have to party at Grandma's again.
When it comes to being cool, how we listen to music is almost as important as what music we listen to, which is why sales of high-end headphones have skyrocketed. A big flashy set of headphones tells the world you don't just listen to music, you really care about it. All right, it's red food.
Come on, baby, let's get it.
And when it comes to expensive headphones, the streets are controlled by one gangster. Beats by Dr Dre.
Hell yeah.
Dre's posse of celebrity spruikers have made it clear. If you want to be a musician, sports person, lingerie hot dog model, or escape your husband's cult, you need this guy's headphones. Why? Because according to Dr. Dre, these aren't just any old headphones. With normal headphones, people aren't hearing all the music the way artists intended you to hear it, because they're handcrafted by Dr. Dre himself, presumably in the Chinese factory where Beats headphones are made. So apart from being music's truth, what do these headphones actually do? Remember the equalizer settings on your old stereo that let you change the bass, mid and treble levels? Beats by Dre headphones have their own inbuilt equalization settings. Sounds special, but it's not. Almost all headphones do it. Beats just has the settings that Dr. Dre thinks is best. So it's really just like a modern day version of those preset buttons on your old stereo that said rock, pop or classical. Except this one says the way Dre likes it.
G-A-N-C
And they're right. Spending $500 on a pair of his headphones is probably just how Dr. Dre likes it. As for what the artist intended, it's possible that not every artist has the same musical taste as Dr. Dre. And I don't even think he's a real doctor. Of course, none of this matters if Beats by Dre headphones do sound better, but on a choice test, Beats headphones actually scored lower than a number of cheaper options. And while expensive headphones lure us with the promise of perfect sound, online streaming is reducing the quality of a lot of the music we play through them anyway. Reduced quality in all senses of the term.
Let's get ridiculous!
So if you're spending $500 on a set of designer headphones, your main concern is probably fashion, not sound quality. And why not? We all want to look good when we block out the outside world.
I'm Peter Kell, Deputy Chairman of ASIC, the Australian Securities and Investments Commission. If I could say one thing, it's take back your unclaimed money. There are huge amounts waiting to be claimed. Australians have recovered over $470 million since 2009. You could have hundreds or even thousands of dollars sitting in an old bank account, in shares, or a life insurance policy without even realising. Money becomes unclaimed when an account isn't accessed for 3 years, but there are no time limits on getting the money back. Finding your unclaimed money is quick, easy, and it's free. Go to ASIC's MoneySmart website, moneysmart.gov.au, follow the links to unclaimed money and type in your name. You can even search for family and friends. I checked this morning and found $24.23 belonging to my father. Dad, if you're watching, the check's in the mail. Of course, if you do find money you think is yours, you'll need to prove it belongs to you or that you're the beneficiary. There's more than $1 billion of unclaimed money in Australia. Some of it could be yours. So for more information on how to make a claim, check out the MoneySmart website, and it could be the easiest money you've ever made.
Bargain!
Honeydew yellow, $3.50 each, or 2 for $7.
Bargain!
Iced tea, $6 each. Any 3 for $20.
Bargain-est!
Recommended retail price $5.96. Special $5.99. Save $11.46.
True blue.
Lobster tails, product of Australia or Bahamas.
Dinky die.
The British Sausage Company, uniquely Australian.
Fresh-tastic.
5,000-year-old bread, baked daily. We'll be back next week in just 11 days.
HMS Sovereign of the Seas, the infamous Golden Devil,
is in the details.
Issue 1 is at newsagents now with your first magazine, hull pieces and cannon kit, all for just $4.99.
But the following issues cost $14.99 each. 135 issues, that's $2,013.65.
Stunning detail.
As a loving pet owner, I know that the only way to a pet's heart is through its stomach. That's why I bought Pizza Napoli.
Topped with Napoli sauce, low-fat cheese and Italian herbs, the ingredients are 100% human grade.
Which is more than I can say for them. It's time for dessert. Do not even think about it. Macarons. They taste like right now. They're full of super antioxidants. They're what Superman would have eaten if he was a dog. Even super desserts are a sometimes food. Unlike vegetables. Vegetables are derived from real vegetables. Now that's probably a whole lot safer than actual vegetables. So long as they don't gulp. Sweet Mary Jane, was that a gulp? I better learn to distinguish between a gulp and regular eating if I don't want Mike to die, which I don't. Barney here's an ethical eater. He only eats holistic food that is powered by select actives. I don't really know what holistic means or how to select an active, but it must be good because it's full of organic quinoa and it costs about as much as a really, really nice meal in a people restaurant. From what I've heard. Beer o'clock? Just a pause point. I know that dogs love beer, but it's really unhealthy for them. It's a good thing they managed to ethically work that out somehow. And I feed Jar Jar dog beer. It's safe for dogs and it captures the very essence of beer. It's beef-flavoured, non-alcoholic and non-carbonated. Too much beef-flavoured dog beer for you. You guys stink. Have some breath mints. They're only about 3 times more expensive than my breath mints, but my breath is probably about 3 times less awful, so it all checks out.
Welcome back to YouTube, where unhappy customers can complain.
Damn it, scam.
And dress up as a pirate.
A mildly annoying half-hour experience.
Amazingly, he wasn't talking about this show. Now, James and his friends have a gambling problem, but not in the traditional way.
We deposited all the money into a sportsbet account, but only gambled half of it.
But when they went to withdraw the other half, they were told they couldn't because it hadn't been gambled. So if you deposit $50 in a sportsbet account, you need to bet $50 before you can withdraw anything.
We were left with hundreds of dollars sitting there that we eventually had to gamble. Doesn't sound like responsible gambling to me.
Well, that's a bit unfair, James. I mean, Sportsbet claim to be leading the way in responsible gambling. So we used their own gambling problem self-assessment on James.
Are you reluctant to use gambling money for normal expenditures?
No, I want to use it for normal expenditures. That's why we tried to withdraw it.
Do you ever gamble longer than you planned?
Yes, because Sportsbet makes us.
Seems James doesn't have a gambling problem, he has a Sportsbet problem. Now, they say the reason they make you gamble all the money you deposit is...
Basically, because we're a great bunch of blokes and Sheilas.
I'm almost convinced. But we asked them to clarify, and they said it's because...
We take our obligations under the Commonwealth Anti-Money Laundering and Counter-Terrorism Financing Act very seriously.
They're not just good blokes and Sheilas, they're crime fighters who are apparently trying to prevent money laundering by forcing their customers to gamble more. Now, strangely, the other gambling sites don't have the same rule. So we asked the good blokes and Sheilas at Austrac, who regulate that law, if withholding the money was required in these circumstances. And they said no. Oh well, it was worth the gamble, Sportsbet, but probably time to change that rule, because...
Admitting that you have a problem is the first and most important step.
Come on, Sportsbet, you're not Batman. You're just Robin. You're customers. Oh. And now to one of the dodgiest products out there. Yep, us. 2 weeks ago on the checkout, we recommended browser extensions like Disconnect to show you who's tracking you online and how to block them. And since then, some viewers have contacted us to say, F you, because installing Disconnect on Internet Explorer caused them problems. When we heard that, we were shocked. There are still people using Internet Explorer? It turns out, unfortunately, the Disconnect for Internet Explorer was only in a beta version and had some bugs that they're still working on. To any viewers this affected, we're very sorry. Sadly, none of them submitted an F-YouTube video because we broke their computers. And now to a complaint that's been popping up a lot recently.
I went to my local pharmacy today and I bought this.
But then...
I opened it up, optimistically full of joys, like a young child at a candy store.
Well, that kid really loves krill oil. Imagine his disappointment when he opened it.
To discover this. Barely half the size of the box.
And I'd hate to think what Theodore thought when he finally opened the bottle too. This is how full it was. We've had similar complaints about krill oil from Bioglan, Swiss and Nature's Way, which all seem to underutilise their bottle size. Maybe these manufacturers think this is the natural order, to have krill hidden in a much larger package. Now, while the packaging can be annoying, it's what's on the inside that counts. In the complementary medicine market, krill oil and other omega-3 products like fish oil are one of the products that do have some solid scientific evidence. But is it oversold?
Helps relieve arthritis symptoms.
Just one capsule a day helps with arthritis.
There is fairly consistent evidence that fish oils have some effect on pain for sufferers of rheumatoid arthritis. However, when it comes to the far more common osteoarthritis, the evidence is circumstantial at best. So while these products are sold to help arthritis sufferers, it's really the rheumatoid arthritis sufferers who are likely to benefit. Just like the packaging, krill oil marketing tries to make you think you're getting more than you actually are. Krill oil. Oh, and while we're on packaging size, in week 1 we showed you that the only difference between the Johnson & Johnson Sorboline and the baby Sorboline was the price and...
the word baby.
Now, one of our viewers took it on themselves to contact the company, and in response, Johnson & Johnson argued that they were simply offering
better value for money when you buy larger quantities.
So if you buy the 750 millilitre adult sorboline instead of the 500 millilitre baby sorboline for the same price, then according to Johnson & Johnson, you're receiving a
highly competitive 27% discount, our way of helping people who use large quantities of our products to save money.
Yeah. Now, if you were using the same name on both products, that may be more convincing. But given the more expensive product is marketed as a different baby product despite the same ingredients, and given they're often sold in different parts of the shop, I'm not sure that argument holds.
Not even I would swallow that.
But at least they have dropped this justification that Johnson & Johnson gave to the checkout.
The only difference between them is our adult bottle contains 250 ml more product because adults have more skin to cover than babies.
More skin? By that logic, look out for Johnson & Johnson's new, cheaper, fat sorboline for those with even more skin. Good night.